Welcome to the channel all about economic board games. Today I'm giving you a run through of Suburbia. We've got the designer at the top there and it's brought to you guys down here. Now in this one we're planning, building and developing a small town into a major metropolis. Now this one plays 1 to 4, so there is a solo mode. It says about 90 minutes, which is about right. I'd say 60 minutes typical in the solo play, maybe up to 2 hours sometimes with 4. And this one here, we've got it all laid out. Now, there's only me as usual. I'm going to be playing as yellows and reds. I'm not going to go rules heavy. If you want a shorter insight into this one, go and check out my overview from last week. So we start off as sort of, what should we say, mayors or governors of our area here, our borough. And we're trying to develop it, get more income. You've got that represented on the top here. You start from 0 and you've got this reputation at the bottom, which starts off on 1, and that's made up of a combination of these buildings. We've got a heavy factory in yellow, community park and suburbs. We've got 15 bucks to start with. These are some investment tokens, which I'll go through. And normally you'd have 2 of these gold tiles kept secret. You'd pick one at the beginning of the game and you'd keep that secret. But for this video, I'm going to keep them revealed and I'll go through what they are shortly. Now, the player board, the player sort of guide is very useful. It's got what to do when placing a tile, the sort of 7 steps to look for, because I guess there's a fair bit of information on each tile, and it goes on your turn what you can do, and it's got some icons as well. So I'm going to keep these face up in the video for you. They're a handy guide. We've got the scoreboard at the top here, a load of red lines which I'll go through, and this is the main board here where we're going to be not bidding as such, but you're going to be going for these tiles and paying the costs at the top and the costs on the left of each tile, depending on what you want, and they get replenished. They have to get replenished each round no matter what sort of action you do. Now in this 2-player game, I like how everything on the game guides you as to set up. So 2-player game, you put in 2 tokens, 3-4-player. So we've got 2 gold bonuses. Even on the player board here, it sort of has a little arrow where to put them. Below each of these decks, it says how many to put out in a 2-player game. So really nice and user-friendly, this game. I like it. And even on here, it tells you where to go. So we've got these tiles, A, Bs and Cs, which are going to replenish these when we buy them. And somewhere in the bottom of here is I'm going to show you because I'm never going to get that far. But the game is going to be triggered. It's not the bottom 4, but somewhere in the 6 after that is this 1 more round token. And when that comes out, it triggers game end and you play 1 more round out until everyone's had a turn. So, but I'll probably hopefully get through a couple of rounds to show you a good insight into this one. Now, before I crack on, the rules are great, folks. It gives you a really clear guide as to setup. Literally, that is it. This is just one big page. So I love that. And there's also this really handy guide as to what all the tiles do if you need to know, because there's a bit of terminology over to the words like every or yours or adjacent and things like that. So kicking off then, I'm going to go with yellow. You've got this sort of player marker here, and yellow has a choice on their turn to either take and place 1 tile from here and they pay the costs, or place one of these investment markers. Now you only get 3 in the game, and I'll give you an example of how that works in a minute. So these guys are looking at their board, and you all start the same with these 3 tiles, and it's about developing synergy and getting the best tiles that are available here to develop your income, develop your reputation, because these little meeple dudes, that is how you're going to win the game. The higher you get, the bigger the score, and they're essentially like victory points, but they're classed as your population, which you increase as you get more reputation from your borough. Now, I think we're probably going to go, we've got 15 bucks to start. This convenience store I quite like, and you can see the cost of both is 0. So we're going to 0 plus the 6 on the left is what we pay. So 6 bucks. So we'll pay 10 over here for change, and this is the bank. So we've purchased this one, and we are going to place it anywhere adjacent to one of these tiles. Now, there's certain stipulations. So if I go over to the other side of your board, it'll say when placing a tile, first off, number 1, you're going to look at the cost. So you pay the cost which you've done. You're then, number 2, going to look if there's any sort of benefits. In this case, it's a +1 on your income, and the iconography matches things around the board. So in this case, +1 on your income, which is a little white circle. So we go up 1. Great. We are earning more income because this convenience store is a great addition to our borough. Next thing, number 3, is we adjust according to the conditional effect at the bottom of the tile. So basically, you look at the bottom and there's nothing here. Some of the tiles have information there. So that's the next thing you do. Number 4 is you look for things adjacent. Now, where are we going to put it? So I'm thinking we're going to plonk it here. So adjacent is this community park. And this one says +1 reputation for each adjacent yellow, green or blue tile. And we have got a blue one. So we're going to go up 1 reputation. We then check for number 5, which is other tiles in your borough and any conditional effect, which there is none in this case. Number 6 is we check with other players to see if, and you can see 6 and 7 at the top there, if any other players have got effects. Sometimes airports affect things, restaurants, and that's where this guide on the bottom here is handy with these icons, because it reminds you of what things might impact. And number 7, check with other players to see if their boroughs are impacted by the tiles you've played. So you check if they affect you or you affect them. So follow this and you can't go wrong. So we've done that, and because it's early games, there's not really an impact on them. Next thing we do is collect or pay money. So we're going to, and the reason you might have to pay is because you might actually go into negative income here. And at the moment, we're fortunate we're into 1. So we're going to get 1 income from our borough. We're doing well. And we are then going to adjust population based on your reputation. And again, this could be negative. We are 2, so we're going to go 2 up. And the final thing you do is put a new tile. So you shift all these so they get slightly cheaper. And we bring 1 from the A stack. Once the A's are gone, you go to the B's and then the C's, and that trigger end is at the bottom somewhere. And that is literally, there go, over to these guys. So you can take tiles from the bottom here, or you could take one of these tiles. Now, what have we got? We've got Suburbs, which is all about the greens, getting a bit more residential area. You got a +2, which means you'd increase your population here. And they tend to be cheaper. It's like a way out if you can't afford any of these. And it's $3 for that one. Now, there's only 4 there to choose, and once they're gone, they're gone. Heavy factories, you're going to get -1 reputation if they're next to one of these grey or green buildings, but it gives you +1 income, and you really want to get your income up as high as you can at the beginning of the game. Community park, -1 for income, because it's costing you your funds from your borough to support this community park, but you're going to get reputation for being next to yellow, green and blue. So, you know, those areas are going to be happy that you built a community park to let them venture out on their lunch break, shall we say. And the third thing you can do is, if you really need money, you can take one of these tiles, but you have to pay the cost at the top. You ignore the cost on it itself. So if we wanted to stop our opponent from getting this, you take it as a lake. So in this case, you'd have to pay $4, turn it over, and this can go adjacent to anything, like any tile, and you're going to get +$2 for each adjacent yellow, grey, green and blue. Fantastic way to get money. And also hinder opponents. So reds are up, and we are thinking, let's go and get a green suburb. It's cheap, we want to save a bit of money, and it's going to give us, so we'll follow the order. We pay the money, free, couple change, and we are going to plonk it here, I think, because we don't want to put it next to our heavy factory, because we're going to get -1 reputation. And if we put it here, we've done the left, we look at the top, number 2, our benefit is +2 on here on the population. There's nothing at the bottom. Number 4, that was number 4 is adjacency. So here we've got +1 for a green in reputation, so we go at 1 there. Our opponents have no impacts, we know that, and number 6 and 7, so there's no other impacts. As you get later on in the game, that's really where you want to start focusing, and I like to sort of put a coin on certain ones to remind me whether they have an impact to make note of. So we've done all the checks. We then go into the income, and we've got 0, so we are not making any money as yet. But next thing, our reputation is up 2. So you can see we've increased our reputation at 4 in that round. Now, I should add, you don't want to do that too quickly, because as you start increasing it, your borough is getting populated, shall we say, and it's going to have a negative impact of -1 income and -1 reputation on this board here every time you cross a red line. So you can see it starts steady, but as you work your way up, there is going to be a massive impact. But equally, if you lose this population for some sorts, maybe you've got a negative reputation, you'll gain it as you go past them backwards, should I say. So if you were on 16 and you end up getting back to 13, you'll go to the right hand side on your track, so you'll gain it, so don't worry about that. So we have done those. Now when you take a tile from here, you pay the cost, but you have to take a tile from here still and discard it, because literally every time a player has a turn, you have to get through one of these, because that's kind of how the game progresses with putting these new ones out. And again, just like taking the sort of river action, shall we call it, or the water action, I can't remember what it's called, you still have to pay the cost at the top. So this is a good way to hinder opponents by taking tiles that they might be after. I think in this case, we are going to go for one of the zeros, and we're going to take the office building. So we're going to dispose of that. We don't pay anything because there's a zero above it. We'll just discard that, and we replace all these down, and we put a new one out. And that's literally all 4 steps to do. Over to these guys, and I probably should add, we should be looking at these goals really. So these guys want to achieve the lowest reputation at the end of the game, and if they do, they're going to get +20. Now when you add these end goals, you ignore these red lines. These guys are going to get +15 population for the most heavy industry buildings, which is the yellow ones, and the communal goals are +10 for the most blue, which is developer, those blue tiles, +15 for the highest income. And if there's ever a tie for them, neither of you get it, so be careful what your opponents are up to. Over to yellows. Now this start player token stays there. It reminds you who at the end of the game on that final round where you play out to. Now these guys are thinking, you know what, I need a bit of cash just to demonstrate to you guys. Actually, I'm going to ignore that because this waterfront realty is very important. I find it's a great one. So we're going to go for this, $6. Goes to the bank because it's 0 and the 6. Now what this one does is it gives you an extra $2 for each adjacent one of these colours when you activate one of these sort of areas here, the water areas. So that will double it from 2 to 4. So we're going to take that one and we're going to place it. Where should we pop it? If we put it here, yeah, we'll put it there. We're going to get, there's no benefits on top, but it'll be ongoing benefits throughout if we utilise that water option regularly. So in terms of adjacent, we've got +1 for the adjacent blue tile on reputation. So that's that. That's -1 for green and grey, so there's no problems there. Those guys aren't affected by it. So that's that. Income is 1 and their reputation is 3. 1, 2, 3. Replace the tiles. Over to the red player. Now I should add that this is one of the older print runs, and the new version, the deluxe version they brought out recently, looks outstanding. So if you are remotely interested in getting this, go and check out that version. There's a ton of options on it, but the artwork is outstanding, and I can't wait to have a go on one of those copies. So over to reds. They are going to demonstrate the water action. So let's just say this fancy restaurant, they are going to get rid of that one. So they're going to turn it over. There's no cost to pay for that. And they're going to pop it down here. And it's going to give them $2 for each yellow, grey, green and blue. And there's 3 currently round here. So that's going to be $6 from the bank. There we are. Nice little way to get some income. We look at other effects, so that's -1 for those, no. This one's +1 for those, no. So no other effects currently. Over to income is still 0. I should be focusing on more income for these guys, but 2 up on the reputation for red. There we go. Replenish these tiles. So you can see how quickly this game can go. Another waterfront realty, interesting. Over to yellows. Now I'm going to demonstrate the investment marker, and what you do here, you get 3 of these, so use them wisely. Now I would probably use them once it's a bit more developed, but I'm just going to kind of show you how it works. So we're going to go for the convenience store. Might not be the best option, but I'm in a rush to develop this borough as quick as I can. So what you do is you hover it over you place it down over the cost of that particular tile, which in this case is 6. You then have to pay that cost again. Which frustratingly we have not got the money for. And I'm going to break all the rules and just assume that we did have the money. We had 6 because I haven't got anything cheaper. I could use. I don't really want to develop my community park again. Let's just break all the rules. Assume we had the money. You pay that $6 to the bank and you would action this tile only again. So in this case, we get +1 income. Now, that probably really isn't the best move, but where it would be useful is, let's say the Reds used it on here and they had buildings all around it that matches colours, they would get paid out again. So it could be, in this case, $6. So that is what that option does. If you've got a really nice tile out there, you know what, I'm not going to do that action. I won't break the rules. I've only got 5, but I'll just demonstrate what that investment one does. So if you've got a really good tile, like a high school or some sort of restaurant or a slaughterhouse in this case, that gets you +1 for every restaurant, and you've got 3 or 4 restaurants, that's going to give you, 4 income to begin with if you had 4 restaurants and you put this slaughterhouse down, and then another 4 if you put an investment token on, and it's quite a cheap one. You can see that's the synergy in the game. For every restaurant you're getting +1, so it just makes dramatic sense. You want to get a slaughterhouse in your borough, but it's -2 reputation because no one wants to kind of live next to a slaughterhouse with a smell of meat. So what are these guys going to do then? They're going to go for, let's do a lake. That's what they're called, lakes. So we're going to take a lake. We're going to take this mint because we don't want our opponent to get it. Turn it over, and we're going to put this one here. And is that the best option? Yeah, we'll go there. So because we have the waterfront realty, that's going to give us, so the actual tile does nothing. So the ones next to it, we're going to get $4, but an extra 2 for that as well. So that's going to be $8 from the bank. There we go. Now, I should add that every time you put a tile around this in future, you're going to get the $4 for that in this case. And if you did get this after, it goes backwards historically as well to get your payments. So where are we doing income? We've got 2 income for these guys, and their reputation is 3. 1, 2, 3. We're going to move these guys down. Now, I should add, during your first game or so, you want to be following this guide here, just so you're not missing out with your opponents or anything else you've got going on. But when you really get familiar with the game, you kind of know what you're looking for, and you can sort of shoot ahead like I am. Hopefully, haven't made any glaring errors there. So they have done that. Over to Reds, and have we got so much money? We've got 15 and 3 there. Oh yeah, we did a lake action, and I'm going to demonstrate the investment. We're going to do the lake action again. So they pay 0, and there's 3 tiles currently around it. So we're going to get $6, and we still have to discard one of these even when you do the investment, because you need to run that pile down, and they're going to get rid of the homeowners association. So before I get rid of this, you can see in this case, this homeowners association will apply for everyone's boroughs. Now, if you're playing a 4-player game, and you can see at the bottom, you pay the cost, you're going to get +1 immediately on your population. $2 for every green tile. Every is every single borough, including yours. And what else have we got? You've got this one that says for each adjacent, so that's on your one. This one for every restaurant, that's every restaurant out there. You're providing meat to all of them. This one for every office tile, so you're looking for that symbol. So you really want to keep an eye out for the terminology. So we get rid of that one because we used an investment one. Pop these down, new one comes out. And that was... Oh, did I do? Yeah, I haven't done the income yet, actually. I skipped ahead. So income was 0, reputation and population was 2. Over to yellows. What shall we go for? Now let's demonstrate. We've got a bit of cash now. We're going to go for... I don't really want to focus too much on the reputation and the population because we're going to start losing income. We really want to bolster this income, and there's some nice blue cards which sometimes, if you get them, give you extra +1 income for adjacent blue tiles. Now I should add, in the box there's a host of A's, B's and C's, and you select so many, so there's so much variety in there from game to game. So you have to really play your opponents and what they go for and play what's available in the game. I think we're going to go for one of these at the top. Let's go for this heavy factory because it's got the +1 income we're after. Now we are going to place it next to this one here. We're going to place it next to a heavy factory, so we're slowly building an area of heavy factory. And you can see I could have placed it over here. That's why lakes are really good, because they kind of neutralise areas, and I would have got $2. But I'm going to keep it up here. If I'd have placed it here, I would have lost 1 reputation because there's a grey one next to it, and I don't want to do that, so we're going to keep it up here. So we're going to get 1 income. We're not going to lose any reputation because it's next to a yellow. We need to pay our money, actually. There's $3. And any effects adjacent is none. Any effects from everything else currently no. It doesn't affect our opponents, and we did the income, so that is that. We then get our income of 3. There we are. Reputation is up 3. 1, 2, 3. We're going to take a tile. Now we don't want our opponents, we don't want them to have this mobile home community, so we'll get rid of that. We'll pay 0 cost. Now you can already see the effects on your borough where, depending on where you put things, you can see you're going to have this lovely sort of metropolis at the end, that they call it, and you can see that your heavy factories, your industry might be over here, you might have your suburbs away from that here, a couple of parks in the middle, you got some business areas, so it thematically makes really logical sense, and you'll be hopefully proud of your area at the end, and you've made it as efficient as you can to get the most income. And that's what I really love about this game. You really feel like you're in control of the income, the reputation, and as it goes up, you're battling to get the best things into your borough and make the most of the slaughterhouses and the fast food restaurants. So excellent how it's the synergy works in this game. That was yellows. I'm going to do one more turn of reds, and I think I will call it a day. So reds are, let's go for this fast food restaurant. So they're going to pay $7 for that. 0 cost at the top. We're going to place it here. We're going to get +1 income. We really need that income. We're going to get +3 for each adjacent green. Maybe I should have prolonged it here or here, but I don't really want to go up too fast on the population because 3, I'm getting close to that red line, and I really want to get up the income here. So we're going to stick out there because we're going to get, well, ironically, we're going to get +1 for each adjacent blue. But that's, no, okay, we're just going to run with it. We're going to get +1 there for this one. -1 doesn't apply there. No other effects. No other effects for blue. That's them. Income is 1. Reputation is up 3 anyway. So there's a tough balance between this reputation and income. And we would move these tiles down. So hopefully that gives you a really thorough guide as to how quickly and streamlined this bounces from player to player. And you're going to literally continue. You're going to go through the Bs. You've got a host of interesting things, warehouses that give you more chance for income, but you can see the costs progressively go up. You can add interesting things like stadiums. You get +2 reputation for each adjacent suburb. You've got various sort of like art galleries or something, office of bureau. So loads of goodness in this game, and they get even better in the Cs, and you keep going till that tile comes out. As I say, you play one more round, and you will then literally have acquired your population as you've gone throughout the game. You will score these goals and see you will add those little meeple things on. You will potentially score if you achieve these personal goals. You will then as well get 1 extra population for each 5 money you've got remaining, and I think money breaks ties. And that is it. Winner takes all. Whoever has the most population and has had the best sort of reputation, the best borough throughout the game. So what a fantastic game. And I really suggest playing that newer deluxe version. It's got some amazing sort of components in there. I believe it plays exactly the same. And there we are, folks. That is Suburbia.